And we are back. It's transforming your relationships. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Roberta.
Hi, Laura. And everybody's in the same state right now. We're all a little bit limited by what we can do and what's the right thing to do, and figuring out what's the right thing to do. And then we're all a little bit heightened in anxiety, and then we're in closer quarters to humans that we maybe don't spend as much time with, and we're way far away from other humans that we wish we could spend time with. So it's a heightened state of what's going on. So it's a great topic today.
Yeah, I mean, it can go in all directions. I read a little vignette of somebody saying, "Oh, the COVID-19 times must have been really hard," and it's a grandchild asking his granddad about
I
this
read that.
in the future, and it's like, "Well, it was horrible. It must have been really tough." And he goes, "Here's what I remember because I was a kid. I had more time with my mom and dad, and we made things, and we had great times outside. We went bike riding in the neighborhood, and that's his memory of this time. So, how are we all doing? Let us know. We're here to connect. And, I'm finding that there's an evolution to this process. Like we go through all these emotions. Sometimes we're just really
Yeah.
solid, and sometimes we're just gonna lose it. So, I think today we want to talk about how can we create this new stabilized state or get in touch with our emotions during when they do get to the heights. How do we bring them to something that we can deal with?
Or now that you're spending maybe 24/7 with the person that you said you're madly in love with, can you even create eye contact across the breakfast table? I mean, is one of you living in the yard? What,
Are you trying
somebody
to
in the
avoid
garage?
social
Yeah.
distance even in the house?
Or are you falling more in love? Are you actually finding ways to be creative and find time to do things you wish you always had, or have deep conversations? Or are you finding out that the person is unavailable for deep conversations and you were always thinking, well, one day we'll get to the bottom of that, and they have no interest at all in even opening the conversation? There's so much to learn from being at home. I've been doing podcasts recently called various subtitles, but they've been called Housebound with a Hijackal. What happens when you're housebound with a relentlessly difficult, toxic person? The abuse rates are going way up. The domestic violence rates are in double digits in most countries because of that. So even if you're with someone who is not a verbal or emotional abuser, things can get a little edgy. Maybe it's just a little too much togetherness.
And sometimes it can be. And, there are things that are going in your own personal world, with your own work or your health or your things you are frustrated with about yourself. And those can creep out too into the relationships in the home that may not have anything to do with the people that you're living with, but, they come out of the cracks because now we're in this heightened fishbowl. Right? We're in a fishbowl. So anything you were stuffing down could easily come out. And so, wow, what do you do? Where do you start? How can we get back to a sense of, okay, healing, really? It's showing us where we need to heal. A lot of times, if it's the heightened states, if it's you're coming into gratitude, which may be a practice that can support the healing, but then you might be in that place of delight and like, wow, you have an amazing family, you have things you can be grateful for. So where do we start?
Well, everything starts from within. We've talked about that for so many times. Be self-reflective. It's not about a should. It's not about how you're supposed to be. Just spend some time alone saying, okay, what's up with me? Take a little inventory. How am I feeling about being at home? How am I feeling in relationship to anxiety? How am I feeling about being cooped up? How do I feel about restriction or limitation? Is my attitude towards it that someone's doing something awful to me, or is my attitude that people are trying to keep me safe? Where is my basic stance in all this? Because that's going to change everything once you open your mouth and try to have a conversation with another human. So Very important to, first of all, be self reflective, know yourself, know what's going on, know what you need, know what you want, know what it is that's bothering you or what you're grateful for or what you're joyful about. And then you can express it when you have been able to express it to yourself first. You know, I always say when people are learning to communicate better, take a moment and just before you say something, run it in your head first and ask yourself the question in the way that the words I've chosen and the tone I'm about to deliver this in, would it be okay if it was coming at me? And if that would be okay, then proceed. And
Mm,
if it isn't okay, then you have a chance to edit and revise. So get in touch with yourself first. And then, you know, maybe you want to scream at somebody because you're just so frustrated. But if you've heard that screaming in your head before you open your mouth, you may downgrade it to a personal weather report that says, you know, I really got in touch with how terribly frustrated I am. And then that's an opener for a conversation. If the person picks up on it and says, "Oh, what's frustrating you?" Yay, you got a conversation going. If they gloss it over and go, "Ooh, I think I have to mow the yard." No, not going to happen.
right. It's really challenging sometimes to go within, and sometimes we just want to dispel the energy. And unfortunately, we hurt those who we love the most, and we don't help ourselves in the in this at the same time. We don't even realize sometimes we can't even help ourselves with our reactions. And
Mhm.
what we're coaching today is really about building the practice in to go within, to sit with those uncomfortable times and places versus trying to go in your head and rationalize and say why they're wrong or they're to blame. If we take the blame and the judgment of others out, what are you left with? That's a really good, like, ooh, what now? Okay, what can I forgive myself for? What am I feeling? I'm feeling like you can get to that word you said, frustrated. It's okay to feel frustrated. Your feelings are okay, right? How you feel is okay. How you respond to your feelings is the new practice that you're talking about, is saying the weather report. We've talked about that on many, many shows. You talk about it on your other shows. It's a super amazing tool, but you can't get to that weather report until you've taken that time to go within. I
Right.
was I was
It's in
yes,
there.
and it's in the Kaizen for Couples book, which is amazing.
Chapters 6 and 7. The second most important thing I can teach anybody who comes to me. Chapter 6 and 7, the personal weather report.
I like how you guys say the second. Is it, you want to mention the first?
Sure, it's very, very simple. It's my formula ABB. Always believe behavior because the truth is what you do.
Mhm. Yeah, it's not what you say.
Right.
Yeah. So believe actions, not words. In fact, we talk about that. I have a card like that in the Feminine Power Cards deck. So it's a, well, documented, shall we say, phil- philosophy in very different, in all kinds of venues. But I love that ABB. So always believe behaviors is the ABB. And we want to also acknowledge the good things here, right? That people are feeling. Are you feeling gratitude? What are the things that are going on that this time has allowed that you didn't ever do before, or take advantage of before, or have the opportunity to appreciate? I mean, I've just been walking around my neighborhood taking pictures of flowers.
Me too.
Isn't that great? It's like,
Hmm.
wow, there's so much beauty right here. And it also is particular to this time of year when so much is in bloom, and we've had so much rain in our Southern California area, but I had never noticed it as much. I have not taken as many walks in my neighborhood in prior springs, right?
Right. Well, I walk most days and I see something new every day. So I post 3 pictures every time I go for a walk. I choose the 3 things that I see on my walk that are different than before. And that's a nice thing. And right now, the community I live in, everybody has made agreement to put up their Christmas lights again.
Oh, that's cool.
So Not everybody's doing it, but there's enough people doing it. So now I'm walking at 7 o'clock in the evening when it's cooler, but I can see the lights. And it's a kind of reassuring thing to think everybody's saying, okay, I'm here, and we're in this together. And they cared enough to put up some Christmas lights.
Right.
It's lovely. But, back to the gratitude. One of the things that you can do right now as a practice for yourself is to catch the people in your house doing things right. Just look for what it is that you're grateful for or what you appreciate and say something. Not over the top, say something, just a genuine thanks. I love it when you bring me my tea. I
Mm,
appreciate that.
yes.
Catch people doing something right. Start to get that to be a turn of mind if it isn't already, because we can go down dark holes and judgments and beat people up in our head really much more easily. All the research shows that we, as humans, tend more to look at the negative than the positive. It's a natural thing because we have to learn, in our DNA, it's about fending off problems and seeing them before they come and getting rid of that saber-toothed tiger. But we have to recognize that that's entirely within our own choice is what I pay attention to. I've talked about my book, What You Pay Attention to Expands. And when you catch people doing something right and you say something about it, the other person goes, oh, you noticed me. I'm not invisible. And they tend to then continue doing those lovely things and feeling appreciated. And appreciation is free, folks. It doesn't cost you a
Actually, it paid you
thing.
back. It feels good
Well,
to give appreciation.
it has benefits, but it's free to give. You don't have to go out and purchase it somewhere. It's not going to take anything away from you. It's the same whole thing about when you light someone else's candle, your light isn't diminished. It's free. And William James said that I'll not say it correctly, but he said the greatest longing of the human race is to be appreciated.
Mm, yeah. It's like seeing your surroundings, seeing your loved ones with new and grateful eyes. And, because if they weren't there, if you were in dire straits, if what can you be grateful for? I love that because that brings about a different energy in your life. I called a friend last night and she goes, I was in just such a dark place. And then I saying to myself, I really need to talk to someone. And then you called, Laura. And then boom, we had a delightful conversation and she goes, I feel so much better just because she got to take her mind off of the pathway she was going down. And I wasn't talking her off a ledge or anything. I was just there chit-chatting with her and talking about fun things and um, helping her to just take her mind off of whatever she had her mind on. And I had some ideas that I wanted to run by her, and it was great. It was just a win-win. So if you're experiencing win-wins, we'd love to hear how you're doing that. How are you bringing um, more light into your life? Because I think that's what this time is about, is or can be about if you want it to be. And if you're going into a dark place, we want to invite you um, to this new perspective, I suppose. Is there any other advice you want to give in that? If you're going down some sort of a tunnel in your head.
Yeah, when you're going down somewhere in your emotions, use your body first. Use your breath, as Laura was saying earlier. Use relaxation techniques. Use yoga shavasana. Lie down, give yourself over to the floor and breathe deeply. And every time, give yourself over more to the floor. Do things that are helpful physically, because when you change your physical stance, maybe you need to open your chest and have more capacity in your lungs. Maybe you need to not slump. Maybe you need to get your chin parallel to the floor because you've started looking up at life. Do things physically that you know to do. Have a bath, go for a walk. That will change your mental state. That will shift your emotional state. Then you can come back from whatever it is that you did to shift the state. Then you can perhaps journal a little bit. Okay, that made things better. What do I appreciate? What would I like to spend time doing? What three things could I do that would keep me in this state? Make a plan with yourself because you are very powerful. The world is not mitigating against to take away your power. All that power is within you. And all you have to do is get in touch with it. And sometimes it's not so easy. Maybe anxiety is there. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe your family's lost its income. There are big anxieties. And
Mm.
the more anxiety that we have, the more the body goes into fight or flight. When the body goes into fight or flight, the body thinks it's in jeopardy. So it starts to draw blood from all the appendages. One of those appendages is your head. It is going to take blood away from your brain, and you are not going to think clearly. So that's why you need to breathe yourself down. That's why you need to get more oxygen. That's why you need the 478 breathing.
Yeah.
Get the oxygen back into your body.
Get breathing. I love that.
Yeah, use the breath. I've said before, and I've said it for about 30 years now. I believe that the most luxurious, least expensive vacation in the world is a deep breath.
It is.
And give yourself that. So when emotions start to run off or run you, get into your body. What do I know to do? How can I change the state by moving differently, standing up? Maybe just go into a door frame and put your hands on the door frame and walk through. Just let that open your chest. Maybe catch the top of the door frame and walk through. Do some things that change your state. And then when you're in that changed state, when you're breathing a little better, then have a think about, what can I do? How can I approach this? There are many ways. Maybe I'm only seeing one or two. Maybe there are six. Let me open my mind to that. Let me call up a friend when I'm in this new state and saying, help me stay on this road because I'm enjoying it more. Right?
Yeah. And what
That's
you're
what friends can be very helpful for. But don't call one who's Debbie Downer, and that you already know is going to say, why are you going in that direction? Everything in the world is awful. Okay, well, have a nice day. Moving on, right?
I like to have a list of what one mentor of mine called proactive behaviors. That when I find myself going down a rabbit hole or a path or in a darker place, I can look at this list, and sometimes it's on the back of a business card, or make it about the size of a business card, keep it in the wallet, and I can look at it and say, okay, what do I need to do? Breathe, take a bath, light a candle, go for a walk, call a friend who I've designated as a cheerleader. In fact, ahead of time, I have friends who I said, I'll call them up and I said, I just need a cheerleader right now. And they know what that means. It's like, you are awesome, Laura. You got this. You go, girl. Right. We've had that conversation, and they know if I call them, I'm in a state that I just need the reminder, because it changes that brain chemistry just to hear things like that, just to be lifted out. So if you're committed to getting into a better frame of mind, you definitely want to have some proactive behaviors that help you get there. And like you said, I mean, even stomping on the ground, twisting your body, saying, I don't like this, let me go, and I send you out, energy out, good energy coming in, whatever you need to talk to your mind physically. I love that idea of, like, get into your body, because it will be like Tony Robbins always talk about state changers, right? We talk about that in hypnosis, which is, how do you get a state change? Because that you can ride that wave into some positive energy and keep that going and going. We all have this power of the mind,
Mhm.
and you can use it for or against yourself. And what we're talking about here, and thank you all for the love and the hearts for that positive energy, Neil and Kristen and Kim, and I appreciate you all being here, Patty, for joining us for this conversation, because we want to generate that positive energy. So what
Let's
did you?
talk about relationships, though, Laura.
Okay,
And let's talk about, all right, you are feeling cooped up with a difficult person, or
right.
you are feeling cooped up with a person that you just haven't spent this kind of time with in a long while. And if you did, it was on vacation with a different set of expectations. And now you look at the same person over the breakfast table day after day, and maybe you're falling more in love because you're having deep conversations, and if so, enough said. But if you're not, if you are looking at that person like, how dare you breathe? Do you know how much noise you make when you eat? If these are the
Every
things
little
that are,
thing bugs you. Yes. What do you say,
if
word.
If that happens, notice that an immediate thing to do would be to give yourself a quick list of what do I love about this person, because right now I'm allowing them to dance on my last nerve. Remember, when someone is dancing on your last nerve, they're trying perhaps to dance on your last nerve, or they don't even know they're dancing on your last nerve. You're the one who's experiencing them dancing on your last nerve. So take your last nerve out from under their feet, right? Say, okay, I can change this. Let me pay attention to one thing I like about this person. If you can summon up one thing that you like about them in the moment, okay, we might have a trend here. Let's see if we can find a second thing. And then if you can bring yourself to give expression to it and say, I loved what happened yesterday. That felt really good. And you just let that float there. They may respond, they may not respond, they may agree, they may say nothing. But it is you contributing something positive to the relationship. Now, if you're finding that there were a whole lot of things that you hadn't looked at for a long time and you really didn't want to look at because you were afraid they were there, and there they are all across the breakfast table just screaming at you, this is the time to get some help. I've had so many people reaching out who previously may have done the $97 1 hour with me at beaclient.com, and they let it lie. They had a problem. They would talk to me about it. They didn't do anything. They didn't engage with me for the next 8 or 16 sessions. All of a sudden, they're popping up. 16 sessions. I can't do this anymore. It's really shone light on the fact that the dysfunction in the relationship is way too much, and I can't tolerate it. I have been tolerating it by distracting myself, and now I really need clarity. I really need clarity. So this time can be a gift. Certainly it may be a time when you have the time but not the money. I realize there are all kinds of things like that, but this can be a time to say, all right, I'm going to really sit and have a look at this. I've been avoiding having a look at this for a long time because it scares me. I might have to do something about it if I actually had a look at it. Right?
You do, but it's gonna be okay. I mean, when you look at it with a professional, with somebody who's objective, with somebody who knows how to get people through this, it's, so supportive. It is so healing, and you will transform your life. I mean, and your not only your relationship, but your whole life. Um,
Mm-hmm.
get help if the energy in your household is deteriorating. And, it's not, to me, it's like I think everybody should have a therapist and in their speed dial, or a counselor of some sort, an advisor who can basically help you get into your enjoyment of your life. I mean, life is so short. Why would you waste another minute trying to figure it out and getting the same result? The
Well, or
devil,
going down a rabbit hole,
right?
because when you sit there doing it, it just drags you down and drags you down and drags you down. And then you think, oh, maybe I'll just have another drink. That's not going to work well.
Yeah.
It's
No, it
time to
doesn't.
step up.
Yeah. It is time to step into having a life you like better, right? And by taking one small step to pick up the phone or go to beaclient.com or go to Transform Today and shoot me an email if you want to do some coaching or hypnosis. If that's going to help you, but if the energy is deteriorating and there's a pattern going on, you probably need more relationship help, counseling, advice for dealing with dysfunction. If you have a vision of your future and you know you can get there, but there's some things in the way, let's just breathe into it and get your mind to work for you instead of against you. And that's kind of the two things we do together, each of us. I do more the coaching, hypnosis, and you do the relationship counseling, and advice. So, and I think that this is a huge opportunity because you're being given you're kind of in the fishbowl of your own fishbowl, looking in and in it at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to get the perspective that you're going down that rabbit hole. I love your idea of getting help. Why not? I mean, why not have that high performance person, you know, guide on the side, like you like to say, to help you build a better foundation and have a life that you enjoy a lot more, and relationships that go down positive, build more positive energy. At least you can
Mhm.
deal with, and you don't lose your sanity. So we realize that there are tough situations out there, and we're not hiding from that. We're not promising you a rose garden, but we're going to help you get beyond where you are right now. So do you want me to put in these links here? Be a client.
Well,
Yes.
the thing that I just wanted to say is, if you're not ready to work one-on-one with someone like me, I do have a membership program. And you can go over there. There are two levels of membership, and in the higher level, it allows you to come and register each Saturday for the Saturday support group sessions. And there we talk about these things. You can ask your questions. You can tell me what's on top of your mind. You can ask for advice. And it makes it very affordable to go there. And so optimizedcircles.com takes you there, and that gives you access to Saturday support groups. If you don't want to belong to the membership program, you can go to my website forrelationshiphelp.com, and you can click on courses and all of the things in the store there, and you can sign up to just come to one Saturday support group for $25 so that you can get a question answered, or you can participate. Some people come along in Saturday support and I'll say, do you have an issue you want to talk about? No, I just want to listen, because other people will talk about things that will be of value to me. And therefore, you're in that situation. And it's helpful to know that there are other people who are sitting at home looking across the breakfast table going, "Oh, not again. You know." and and what to do about that, how to take a positive look, how to move forward in positive ways. You may find that you move toward the person. You may find that it's time to look to see if you do want to move toward the person. Or you may finally recognize that I've been distracting myself and denying this for so long, and I need an exit plan. I truly need an exit plan. These are important things to learn. This could be a great benefit of this time when we are in closer proximity to the people at home. And I would say something on the flip side, Laura. There is this saying that I really dislike in our English language, and I think it gives permission to all the wrong things. And that phrase is, go home and let your hair down, which means that you can go home and you can be your worst self. You can go home and put your feet on the coffee table. You can stop saying please or thank you. You can stop appreciating. You can do nothing. You can have other people wait on you. I mean, there are all
Take off
kinds
the
of
mask.
implications. Yeah, that I don't have to be the persona that I show the world. I can just let it all hang out. And here's why I don't like it, because it's giving you permission, suggesting you have permission to treat the people you say you love the most the worst, that you're not taking your best self to the people you love the most. You're giving your best self away to somebody you don't even know and probably don't need to develop a relationship with. And the very person that you say that you love the most in the world or wish you did is not the person who's seeing the best of you. And I think we need to reverse that paradigm.
Hmm.
We should be our best selves at home for our partners and our children, and let that be who we live on. And if we're living pretense, get real, folks. Find out who you are and what's real for you, and then be that. There's always going to be the moments when we have to step up and suck it up and do something a little differently, but don't have that be the regular you.
Yeah. So if you don't like the regular you, that's a really good sign. And if the regular you is mistreating other people, then that's a sign about get help because you want to really be feeling okay to be yourself, and that who you are as yourself is good. Is you're bringing out the best of yourself, because that's what it is to let your hair down, not some take off a mask of some sort. I was in years and years ago when I had a different paradigm for letting my hair down. It was where people would accept me for who I was. I felt safe enough to be me, the real me, that I could let my hair down and people would not scoff at me and wouldn't, treat me differently because I acknowledged a weakness. So for me, that's what the let my hair down was. It wasn't for me to let out the villain inside or the venom inside. It was really to am I really okay? You
Well,
know,
you're allowing yourself to be authentic, to get into alignment with your authentic self everywhere. That's healthy. That's what we want to be doing. Sure, we're not going to over disclose to the bank teller. That's not healthy. But, if we're having a bad day and someone says, "How are you?" don't say, "Oh, I'm fine, thanks." I mean, that you can honestly say, "I've had better days. How are you?" That you're allowed to get in touch with where you are in life, and you need to have people around you that that's okay too, and that you're treating each other with respect,
yeah.
with
No
care.
matter what, how you're feeling now does not give you the right to mistreat somebody else. It means it's actually the opposite. It means to treat yourself even better so that you can be better for others as well.
Yeah, don't be beating yourself up.
Yeah,
That's never going to work well.
I agree. And I really feel like so many of us today are frozen in fear, and that's why they're not reaching out. But what we want to do is help you get free and feel all right. So when you let your hair down, you feel good being authentic. What comes out is you don't need to put your hair back up or put a mask back on. You are, like you said, Roberta, in alignment with the best of you. And you're living from that place, and that you've dealt with the fear, you've dealt with the ugliness and the darkness and the feelings that come up. And
Yeah.
yes, they're scary. And that's why we want to be your guides, and or reach out to someone who is trusted, who is objective, and who um, isn't different from your regular realm of people you associate with. So you have that distance for yourself so you can really reflect on what your truth is and what you really want.
And if you're with toxic people, you had a toxic mother or father, or sibling, um, partner, ex, go to the podcast, saveyoursanitypodcast.com. I put up the 113th episode this morning.
Wow, congratulations.
Go there.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And there's 107 episodes of Emotional Savvy for you, too. So that's a lot of great learning right there. But over on Save Your Sanity, if you're in a toxic relationship, it's for you so that it helps you understand. Like the Housebound with a Hijackal episode from last week is 16 ways that emotional domestic violence shows up.
Wow.
Maybe you don't even recognize it anymore. You're so used to it. It's the verbal and emotional domestic violence. It's not going to have the police coming to your door and taking anybody away. The toll is on you.
Mm,
You know, Sometimes, even when there's physical and sexual abuse, the police don't deal with it in the way that would be most productive. But believe me, they're not going to drop by for the verbal and emotional abuse because you can't prove it at all and nobody can see it. But you need to understand so deeply what that is. That do you know what it sounds like to be shamed? Do you know what those words are? Or are you just so used to hearing them it's like, oh, there it goes again. And you don't even think about it being shamed or being blamed or having them complain to you all the time or having them twist your words or having them have it to be right and you must be wrong or finding fault all the time. So many things that you need to recognize and become cognizant of. There it goes again and again and again. How many times a week do these 16 things happen? If you started to tally that up, and we're working on an app to do that, um, if you
wow.
started to tally them up, could a number be something that would cause you to go, whoa, I can't ignore that number? That many times it happens in a week and in a month. And my children are seeing that. On any level, is that okay with me? I hope not.
No, I hope not too.
Right?
You have so many great resources, Roberta, from your podcast to your courses online to your Saturday groups to your individual sessions. I think people can be well supported, and we just invite you to take advantage of the support that's there, or read the blogs, get a set of feminine power cards, read some of your books, the Kaizen for Couples. So if you're just joining us, welcome. Thank you for the hearts and the loves here. Christine is here, and Neil's been here, and Patty and Heather, thank you for being here. Um, we're in this together. And why not act like it? Right? It's like, okay, there are heightened, as we talked about today, heightened energies going on. Some of you are more delighted than ever, and some of you, us, are going
Or
down
more
to
disgusted than ever.
more disgusted than ever and devastated. And some of us feel all of that, and um, feelings can be our friends when we honor them and we take them through their what's underneath them, because a lot of times we just want more joy, we want more love, and we want more peace and healing and safety in our world. So let's see what we can do and how we can respond to build that in our lives, first locally and then globally. So we can do this. We got this. We got you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, I just want to respond to what you just said because I think it needs a caveat. There are people in the world who try and do good in the world and don't bother to do well at home. They will leap out there and say, "Oh, look, I'm volunteering here. I'm doing all these wonderful things, which are good." But they're not taking care of home and they're not taking care of home within themselves. Make sure that there's alignment there, that it goes right from within you outwards and you're living your values and you know you are. You're not skipping over the hard bits. And that's what we're encouraging you and offering support today.
Love that. I think that we love being here for you, and this time is very good for both of us. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back in another couple of weeks with another episode of Transform Your Relationships Live. In the
Bye
meantime,
bye.
visit us at transformtoday.com, be a client.com, or watch the Save Your Sanity podcast, or even join Roberta and her Saturday groups at Optimized Circles. There's so much to have. Or we'll just see you right back here in a couple weeks. Be well, everyone.
Bye.